Hi, welcome back to our channel where you'll find DIY, home decor, and renovation ideas on a budget. I am Michelle and this is my daughter Stephanie.
If you've been following us for a while, you know that we love to get down and dirty with our home renovation projects, and while we're not professional carpenters, we are lifelong perfectionists.
And so what do you get when you combine perfectionism to a DIYer's repertoire?
A crazy set of acquired skills as a direct result of the many mistakes we make in the process. This is episode 2 of our Dark and Moody Home Office One-Room Challenge. And in this video, we're going to teach you how to build cabinet doors with a router and what we wish we'd known before getting started. Be sure to head to the description box below for a complete list of tools and supplies you'll need to complete this project. Since the last episode, we have painted the room, built our cabinet base, installed them, installed the face frames, the bookcases, the molding. Everything's ready to go. The last thing we need to do to wrap this built-in project up is building these cabinet doors. So let's get into it. You can find tutorials for each of these projects in the description box below or that link above. Before starting, you'll need to determine the size of your cabinet doors, and to do that, you'll need to know what type of hinges you're using. This will determine how much of an overlap your doors will have on the face frame. We chose a 1-inch self-closing hinge, which means the side of the door will sit 1 inch over from the inside edge of the face frame. For each door, you'll need 2 stiles, which are the vertical boards, and 2 rails, which are the horizontal boards. The stiles will be the full length of the door, and to determine the length of the rails, you'll take the width of your door and subtract that by the width of your board you're using 2 times. Then you'll add 3/4 inch for the rabbet joint. Now the cuts of the stiles and rails need to be precise. They need to be the exact same length or the door is going to turn out wonky. So an easy way to do this is to set up a stop or a fence, and then you'll make all the cuts for the same length at the same time. So here we have 8 stiles and 8 rails for our 4 cupboard doors. And we also have 4 rails and 4 stiles for our 2 drawer fronts. It's also a good idea to label your rails and stiles so you don't accidentally make the wrong cut on the wrong board. We used this beveled tongue and groove router bit set to make our cabinet doors. We first started by running every single board, both rails and stiles, through the router along the length of the board with the groove bit. And again, you'll want to make sure that you set these bits in place precisely. You need to make sure that this bit is centered in the middle of the board so that it fits nice with the other piece once it's cut. It's also a good idea to run a couple of scrap boards through the router just to make sure that everything is set up properly, that it's cutting right where it needs to be. We ran all of our wood pieces through the router with the groove bit just fine without running into any issues. It wasn't until we installed the tongue bit that we ran into some problems, and we'll explain what happened. Okay, so here's what we wish we would have known before starting this project. 2 things with this. 1, the rail pieces are not as wide, obviously, and they don't line up or touch the fence, which is going to guide your wood across the router bit. Because of this and the speed and direction of the router bit, it was causing the board to curve a little bit and we were getting crooked cuts. And the second thing we learned was that cutting along the cross grain of the wood was just really challenging because we were getting these chipped ends and it just wasn't looking very nice. So with a little bit of research, we learned that you can actually get these rail coping sleds, which make it a lot easier to run your boards through the router because it lets it run parallel to the fence, and it also has a nice secure grip on the wood, and it has a sacrificial piece of wood on the back side of your board that prevents that chipping we are facing. So in a bind, we kind of made our own little homemade jig, you can say. We used some scrap wood on both sides of our rail piece and secured this with a clamp. Now this did help us get our project done. We were on a time crunch, but if you're making a lot of doors, we would highly recommend getting the coping sled. It will just make your life so much easier. So with this method, we were able to keep our wood flush against the fence, which helped us get a straight cut. And we may not have had our router bit set 100% correct, and so we did have these little fuzzy pieces of wood at the end, and we just used a little piece of sandpaper to smooth those out, and it turned out great. You'll also need to cut a center panel, which will be the inside measurement of your shaker door, plus 1/2 inch for the depth of the groove.
All right, these are the 5 pieces that are going to make up our cabinet door. These are, our door of course goes vertical, but these are the stiles, these are the rails that we've done our routering on, and I want to show you that they are not perfect. And the challenge is when we were doing our crosswise cut to get our tongue piece here, when it got to this section, it would come down and give us a little bit. Can you see that? Where it comes down is a little bit, it's not perfectly square like I would like it to have been. So the crosswise cuts were definitely the most challenging, but when we put this together, let me show you how this is going to go together. And we'll glue it, but these are panel, and we are using just an MDF 1/4 inch panel to fit inside of our dado area, which is this groove here. And so it'll go like that, and then these pieces will slide on here. So it's just like putting together an interlocking puzzle. Okay, so you can see here we've got some corners that are not absolutely perfect. This one down here is probably one of the worst.
But we just used a little bit of wood putty at each of these joints, allowed it to dry, and sanded them smooth, and they look fine. Once the doors were assembled, we secured them with some clamps to allow the glue to dry. Now, if you're going to be making a shaker drawer front, it's really similar to the cabinet door, but the center panel is going to be made from a 1/2 inch thick piece of wood. And again, we're just using MDF, and we're running it through our router to create a groove that is 1/4 inch deep and wide all along the outside of this panel.
So this is the back side of all of the rails and the stiles, and then the center panel of the drawer. And we're just going to glue those together, just like we did the doors. Okay, so it'll be recessed on the front, just like our shaker cabinets, and on the back side, this is the difference, is it's going to be flush, so when we mount this to the drawer box, it will be nice and flush.
After everything had been assembled and dried, we painted a coat of primer and paint, and once they were all finished, they looked awesome. They don't even look like we DIY'd them, so our efforts were not in vain. And if we can do it, so can you.
This is the hardware that we have chosen from Amarok, and look how gorgeous this is going to look on our built-in cabinets. All right, what do you think of this idea of building your own cabinet door? Is this something you want to try on your own in your own home? You know, as first timers on this project, it was a little stressful at times and we got a little frustrated, but I hope that you've learned from our mistakes of things that you can do to make your cabinet doors beautiful. And we are so pleased with the way they turned out.
Yeah.
Couldn't be happier.
And again, we're not professional carpenters at all, so you don't need to be either, and you can make these beautiful yourself.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel, tap that notification bell so you know when our new videos are released so you don't miss anything in this series on this home office. It's really going to be amazing.
We hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. And as always here at Sunnyside Design, we hope to bring your home to the sunny side of the street.